a math mech from your deck to the graveyard, special summon this card from the hand. If another math mech is summoned while you control this monster, you can add a math mech from your deck to your hand. Now, Sigma does state that if you special summon this with its effect, you cannot summon anything but Cyberse monsters. So he did use the effect of Sigma to special summon. And if I read Sigma, are you allowed to summon a non-Cyberse before you use its effect that locks you into Cyberse only? It would have to say for the rest of the turn. So let's read the Sigma real quick. Sigma states that for the rest of the turn, Cyberse monsters. So you can summon Dweller before and then summon Sigma after. But a moment of sus is happening right now.
So you can see how much of a difference it makes to just know.
He's banishing to link it off for a Link Devotee. Looks like that Link Devotee is in a different language. I mean, they are in, what country are they in, Gia?
Still, Nicholas is
Germany, I think.
And
So you just summoned 2 tokens. Let's look at the Link Devotee. Link Devotee states that if this card is tributed, you could summon 2 tokens onto the fields. If this is co-linked tributed, it was not co-linked. So only while co-linked and tributed do you get to summon 2 tokens in the field.
Essentially, yeah, the plan will be the one we have seen often to just end.
I think that's the judge grabbing the card right now.
Which is such a powerhouse.
Did he use subtraction addition? I don't think so.
So much advantage.
Do those restrict you too? I didn't see it. Sigma effects, well, Sigma effect's not cheated, but, you know, yeah, you can make sure it goes to the graveyard if you detach it with the Dweller. But you can't even make Dweller with it if you use its effect where it would then be banished. So they did catch that, but then I feel like they are also talking about, is he locked into Cyberse? How do you summon Dweller? So I do think this is a moment where you do have to be careful with onlookers where this could potentially spread false rumors. He used Sigma. How did he summon Dweller? Is he locked into Cyberse? So I say that he did use the effective diameter to summon the Sigma. So the summon of the Dweller was legal. The Link Devotee was obviously illegal. Okay, this is a funny one. This is a funny one.
this is what, the Fiendness itself is.
Lightning Storm, take out the back row. Negate with Fiendus. Fiendus is a great negate in the...
Called by the grave.
He's going to chain Call by the Grave. Call by the Grave on the Fiendus. Fiendus, when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can negate by sending this to the graveyard. So we're going to Call by the Grave, banish the Fiendus. Be gone. All right, now where is the illegal in sus play here? So let's get to the moment. We're on his turn, everything's fine, everything's normal. He's flipping up the Math Mech Induction right now because he wants to use the effect to send it to the graveyard to then get popping.
I think he's probably doubling the attack. Yeah, because in damage step, essentially, he tried to use the
And
500 attack booster, but then his opponent just answered with. He still has a lot of damage. For the induction,
he's now using the effect to pop a card in the field. Fiendus. Fiendus to negate. So he's using the induction to target Fiendus negate. Now, the Fiendus is negated. It's not an illegal Fiendus activation. The Fiendus activation's fine. He's allowed to attempt to do it, but what he's not allowed to do is then flip down his monster because that's negated. He's undercalled by the freaking grave. The induction is also not negated. The monster is destroyed. So Called by the Grave just did not do anything beyond negating the first Fiendus. Can't wait. Super sus. Does the judge call it? Does the chat call it? Does the chat see it? I think this was posted on actually our Master Duel, where they're actually trolling at the expense of TCG players the fact that they forgot Called by the Grave. Now, there's another Called by the Grave moment. This gets uncaught. The judges don't say anything. The commentators don't say anything. Called by the Grave should have negated it, but it did not negate it. Can't wait. Now, let's get into another Called by the the grave moment. He's activating his trap to summon 3 math mechs from the graveyard. What's he gonna do? He's targeting the 3. Let's get the math mech trap on the screen. Target 3 math mechs in the graveyard with different names. Special summon them.
And then it gets negated. So it's not too much of a difference, but it gives your opponent a little bit of
He's thinking. He's thinking. Oh, you can kind of see his hand.
Let's see.
Called by the grave. It's actually in a different language. What is it called?
Wow.
Called by the grave, hit the diameter.
What a hand from Luis.
Now it's still going to summon the other monsters. Very good.
It is just the perfect end. You
Now-
can see him just shaking his head. And,
He was the victim of Called by the Grave. Now he's the one using Called by the Grave. He did not know that the opponent's Called by the Grave negated his Fiendus. But will he remember that his own Call by the Grave is now negating any future diameter for the rest of this turn and the next turn?
shaking his head quite a bit. By the way, there are 7
Let's go.
minutes and 30 seconds remaining. We have to keep that in mind. But this is so strong.
Will they fall for the Call by the Grave again? Dragoon? Oh yeah. Dragoon's here. Dragoon is here.
We do not forget how good
Dragoon is here.
How ridiculous.
Yeah, he has been smashing like the
Dragoon. Neither player could target this card with card effects, could not be destroyed by card effects. And what it does is you could use the effect to discard a card, negate the activation of a card.
I mean, I saw that Luis has...
Card effect is activated, negate the activation.
also has the final battle.
Yeah, but the cool thing is Red Ice Fusion as the restriction.
So right now, we're under Call by the Grave. The turn it was activated. And now we're going to go into the next turn, where diameter is still negated. But there's a few rulings to discuss here.
Actually come up with. It's tough.
Yeah, very
Freeman
tough.
MD, I do think so. I do agree with that.
Okay.
Okay, Lightning Storm is a decent way to...
Lightning Storm? Is that called Blitzstorm?
He's considering which, and he actually... His effects cannot be hit.
Okay.
Yeah, but here I think we're
He summons Diameter.
What can you even go for? I think the goal is to go for Zeus, maybe?
Diameter is here. Activates. Diameter. Diameter on summon. Special summon a monster from the graveyard.
Diameter is the one you would
Activate.
try to use.
Target.
Let's see.
We good? We good? We good?
I think you have to, right? Because
Yeah.
Zeus
Negate! He negated an already negated Diameter. Now, was that even a legal play? If you look at the Call by the Grave, Called by the Grave states that the effects are negated. So until the end of the next turn, its effects are negated, as well as the activated effects and effects on the field of monsters with the same original name. But Dragoon does not negate the effect. Otherwise, if Dragoon negated the effect, that would have been an illegal interaction. You cannot negate the effect of something that is already negated. So for example, a popular card in the event is Sprite Red, which will be coming to us soon. Sprite Red states that when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can negate the effect. Now, this would be illegal. You cannot Sprite Red negate the already negated Diameter because you're negating the effect that's already negated. It's kind of like you can't impermanence with Skill Drain already face up on the field because you're trying to negate the effect it's already negated. But the Dragoon is allowed to do that because it is negates the activation. So there's no illegal play here. There's nothing sus about this. It's just a funny follow-up to he got Called by the Grave and used his effect under it still, and then, you know, that same player forgot a second time that Called by the Grave is supposed to be negating the monster. And I mean, do both players are unaware or what? I mean, did he seem confident that this was gonna work or what? And then he negated something that was already negated. Okay, here's a small one. A lot of players mess this up. If you're a tier limit expert in the chat, you probably screwed this up. Now, what he's using is he's using Jack. Jack is actually a nutty card in tier limits that I haven't really seen be used. Jack in the graveyard is going to banish this card, excavate the top card of your deck, and then because it was a tier limit and not a trap, it gets sent to the graveyard, it activates the fusion summon. So he fused into the Kit Kalos tier limit off of sending it from the top of the deck to the graveyard. Now he is sending the Rhino Heart. Rhino Heart being sent to the graveyard. This is a very cool chain. This is all during the opponent's end phase, by the way. This is nuts. He's now making the very cool fusion, the Kaleido Heart. Kaleido Heart on summon is going to shuffle a card in the field back in the deck.
This is looking very.
So this looks kind of complicated. What it just happened.
Because something happened.
So let's watch this real quick.
And he is. Indeed, he has
So
to get rid
the
of
kit
so many duels, but here,
activates to send the Rhino Heart from the deck to the graveyard. This is all off of the Jack. Now the Rhino Heart activates to discard a card from the hand as a card effect, and then summon itself on the field, then send a monster from the deck to the graveyard. So the Kaleido Heart requires 3 materials to make it. So what's very interesting is when you activate the effect to fuse off of the effect of the Rhino Heart sending a monster that's going to activate to fuse, you would have to be shuffling the kit on the field back to the bottom of the deck, which is what you obviously don't want to do. But I'm going to tell you what was illegal about this.
instantly, he just has.
So we have send to the graveyard, activate on Chain Link 1. 1, so it's going to summon onto the field. Now, we're going to chain link 1, fusion effect, chain link 2, send a monster from the deck to the graveyard.
And he is actually using the
So do you know
Rhino
what he did that was illegal
sending itself back
when it's
out.
about to happen?
He's stumping
Pitching
Hardness
Hardness.
first. Yeah, he's
Now to
stumping
fuse, you put the cards on the bottom of your deck.
again. This is looking very, very good for Raphael.
Come forth, summons that, returns a card back in the deck. Now what he did was illegal. This was the sus play. The Rhino Heart states that if this card is special summoned, when it leaves the field, you have to banish it. You could special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. He puts it to the bottom of the deck. A lot of people forget about this. Instead of putting it to the bottom of the deck, or I should say, instead of banishing it, he put it to the bottom of the deck. Would he still be able to fuse? Yes. His field would still be the same. He's still able to fuse. It doesn't have to go to the bottom of the deck to fuse, but that's where it's supposed to go if it were not summoned through its own effect. But the fusion is still legal. The Rhino Heart should be banished, though. We had, I guess they don't put the deck names on the title. This was, oh, here it is, 6 Samurai. 6 Samurai. No freaking way. Let's get 6 Sam on the screen.
Yeah, but he has a lot of different targets for this reinforcement, which is already surreal. And as mentioned, Sadiki only card that can stop this.
He's
he has nothing else.
3-1. That's not bad. He's actually has a great record at the time of this recording. So let's bring up a 6 Sam deck.
Yet another search from
That's what 6 Sam's looking like.
and then a lot of 6 Samurai summons. You can already see Sadiki going, what's going on? Is this time Wizard? Is this
So the biggest thing about 6 Samurai is creating an infinite loop with Gateway. Gateway with 4 counters can add a 6 Sam from your deck or graveyard to your hand. And you search it by putting 2 warriors, including a 6 Samurai, together to search for the Gateway. Now, the infinite loop is created between the Mizuho and the Shinai. Mizuho states that once per turn you contribute another 6 Samurai, then target 1 card in the graveyard, destroy that target. Wait, target 1 card in the field, destroy that target. Okay, so you tribute the Shinai, and then the Shinai states that you can target a 6 Sam in the graveyard, add to your hand. So what you do is you make Mizuho and Shinai. Mizuho tributes the Shinai, and then Shinai is going to summon onto the field, and then you get Mizuho in the graveyard, then you add her back, and then you just infinitely loop. You tribute, send to the graveyard, add back, special, and with 2 special summons, you get to search with the Gateway. So let's get to that moment.
Okay, so, and this is a special summon. You can add
He's summoning. And what happens when an infinite loop happens? I'll tell you how you handle an infinite loop.
You can go right away and use the dojo, of course.
Oh, he has Nibiru.
Ooh, deck, and he does open.
Nibiru.
That's unfortunate.
That's how you handle an infinite loop. You Nibiru it, and that's it. That's the best end field to 6 Sam. You end on a token. But this Chad said, nah, I have only just begun. He keeps going. He keeps going through the Nibiru. What card is he about to use? I think it's this one. I'll show you.
And to be honest, it could still be as good as it gets. So,
Get ready. Do it. Do it. Do it.
And as we mentioned, no other interruption in Sadiki's deck, but we get to see Dojo now.
Wait, you also had Dojo? Should he have Nibiru'd while Dojo has tokens? What the heck?
Yeah, because like even if you have
All right, Hatsume. Hatsume has the effect to banish 2 6 Samurais from the graveyard, then special summon a 6 Samurai.
Definitely an interesting one. It can get you again.
And we're back in business.
From the grave, you banish it, you just summon back a piece, and let's see if he's able to go for it. He does. So banish 1, get 1 back right away.
This is all the same turn. This is turn 1. Turn 1.
One of the others he got, which is the Mizuo.
So let's speed up through this.
Let's see. Here he could go for the
He is going to be making the Shogun. Shogun is going to be searching for the token. I should say the token gateway, limited to 1 gateway. Every 2 summons, the gateway is going to be able to search or add a 6 Samurai from the deck or the graveyard.
It's one of those very few cards in Yu-Gi-Oh that can create this infinite loops in a way. So,
And look, the commentator said there's very few cards in Yu-Gi-Oh that can create an infinite loop. We infinite looping. We looping.
It's really good because you get to, or he gets to use the effect.
So he's going to get to a moment where he tells his opponent, listen, I have an infinite loop, bro.
So good. 'Cause now it's
And
actually
his
we have-
opponent's not familiar with how the infinite loop works.
Just checking the correct amount of cards. Just
Every
explaining
time he
that
summons to where the Shogun is pointing to, he gets a counter. Anytime he summons a 6 Samurai, he gets 2 counters. So if he summons a monster behind the Shogun where it's pointing, he gains 3 counters total.
is Sergio.
Summon, summon, summon. So that means every 3 summons, he could search for 2 Six Samurais. When without the Shogun, it's every 4 summons. You could search for 2. So he's going to keep going. He's going. He's going. Now he's skipping the next main phase of his next turn by summoning a monster from the graveyard. He's setting up the loop. Set up the loop.
Yes.
And timing is a big problem in the YCSs, so much so that we'll be talking about a huge controversy with it.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
Get Lupin, Saryuja, draw 4, return 3 back to the deck. Does he have the loop yet?
Throughout,
Once again.
He's still going. He's still going. He's still going. This is first turn. The timer's ticking. So essentially he's telling him, I have infinite counters on my Shogun, and I have infinite counters on my Gateway, and his opponent just accepted that. So what he's going to do now is the Gateway could search the entire deck of monsters, and the Gateway could search the graveyard, the entire graveyard of monsters. So look, you see, he's adding all of them. He just added 4 Six Samurais from the deck. He could add all from the graveyard. So it's already established both cards have infinite counters. Infinite. And Saryuja's going to return the 6 Samurais that he drew, that he searched, back in the deck, then draw 4. He's going to draw 4, then return them, then search them again. So he's going to loop Saryuja to draw 4, return 3, and then infinitely search the 6 Samurais from the graveyard to keep doing it over and over and over and over. And he gets to the point where, yeah, I've seen enough. So how do you actually first turn kill with this? Because he's got to inflict lethal damage, right? So what a lot of people do, some people, they like to loop Trishilla. Trishilla is going to be banishing their entire hand in graveyard. So you will start with 0 cards for your turn, and you'll draw into 1. You'll probably lose anyway. But what I believe he's about to do is he's going to summon...
Yeah.